Welcome, everyone. As you know, Mount Holyoke College is the launch pad for a number of remarkable people and their careers. And I am delighted to be here this evening with Lina Maria Rivero Cashin, class of 1988 and parent to a class of 2019 alum. Lina, it's wonderful to have you. To give a little bit of background on Lina and her extraordinary career, Lina is an award-winning officer in space and cyber operations, policy, and strategy. She served in the U.S. Air Force for 24 years and directed the nation's space situational data sharing program. Lina pioneered international transparency for improved spaceflight operations, which led to 7 international agreements. And for the past 8 years, she has served as a senior project engineer in the Defense Systems Operations Group for the Aerospace Corporation, working to enhance space-based capabilities. Her work directly supports national security missions, and additionally, she serves as a policy analyst for the Center for Space Policy and Strategy. In her spare time, she is a doctoral candidate at Creighton University in Nebraska, and we will hear more about all of these remarkable areas over the course of the next hour. Lina, welcome home.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Mount Holyoke. It's been a pleasure.
So, Lina, talk to us a little bit about what brought you to Mount Holyoke and what were your first memories of Mount Holyoke College?
Well, I do have to say, the reason that I came to Mount Holyoke was my high school German teacher. My high school German teacher was Dr. Frau Mieter. She was a Mount Holyoke alum, and I went to a small high school in Vermont, in Milton, Vermont, and she was the best, most organized, most articulate teacher that we had in the school. I found her just a wonderful role model, someone that I wanted to be like. And so I asked her where she went to school, and she said Mount Holyoke, and so it stayed with me, and I thought, well, I think I need to check out Mount Holyoke. And later, I found that Mount Holyoke offered a 5-college consortium, and in that consortium, there was an opportunity to have an Air Force Reserve Officer Training Scholarship. And so I got a tuition scholarship from the Air Force and was able to support my tuition through the Air Force. And so I was on a 4-year scholarship that was enabled by Mount Holyoke being part of this 5-college consortium.
That's wonderful. So we know about your mentor from high school. Who would you say was your most important mentor while you were here at Mount Holyoke?
Well, I had a couple, because I was a math major because I had to have a STEM degree to get my scholarship. The most energetic and exciting professor I had ever seen was Donald O'Shea. And he was terrific. And I think that when you have faculty and staff and members that show just excitement for the profession, you feel very comfortable going to ask them in their office hours why you don't understand something. And so I went to lots of office hours with Donald O'Shea. And then later on in math, I had Margaret Robinson, who is right here in the audience, and she was my faculty professor and mentor at the time. It was one of her first classes that she taught, and it was my senior year. And so I'll just forever remember her, and I thank her for escorting me this weekend. I also was a double major because although I had to do math for my scholarship, I also found physics quite interesting. My physics professor, Matt Deedy, on Mountain Day, he brought us to New Hampshire, Mount Monadnock, and we went hiking. And it's those extra things that you really remember in life. And so when you said you might ask me about who were my mentors here in college, I thought back to that Maya Angelou quote that says, I'll paraphrase, it's no, it's not what they said, it's not what they did, it's the way they made you feel. That is so special. And I just feel like that Donald O'Shea, Matt Deedy, my professor Margaret Robinson, as well as my physics partner here today, Michelle, really made me feel valued and like I could do this. I could do the tough math and physics, and I could accomplish that. And so I will forever be grateful for Mount Holyoke for making me very, very challenged in my academics, but making me a success by letting me graduate.
So tell me, have you always been interested in spaceflight?
Well, I thought about that, and I thought one of my first memories of spaceflight was really when I was 3 years old. We grew up in a house. My mother was in the Peace Corps, and she was very practical. We didn't have a TV because we didn't need a TV. She did buy a TV in 1969 in July, so we could watch the landing of the man on the moon. Yeah. I got this early understanding that this was important. It was a pioneering area. And so then in the Air Force, I got to select what jobs I would have. My number 1, 2, and 3 were all space operations. It was like human space flight operations, space control operations, space launch operations, launching rockets. And so I was able to do that after I graduated Mount Holyoke, because at the time they were only taking people with technical degrees.
Oh,
and I had a math and physics degree, so I was able to go right in that door.
That's incredible. Yeah. So part of, you were just mentioning space operations. So part of your job is translating huge complex problems to the point where you can explain them to people who are actually doing operations. How did your Mount Holyoke education help you get to the point where you were able to take these big complex problems and distill them down to the point where you can really teach them to people who are working on operations plans?
Oh, that's a great question, because Mount Holyoke is a liberal arts school. And that means I didn't just take math classes. I didn't just take physics classes, although I did take a lot of them. I took art history classes. I took the study of the New Testament. I took a politics class. I took all of those PE classes. But those things help you in life, because no matter what career field you're going into, you have to be able to articulate and communicate and connect with one another. So whether you're talking about space orbital mechanics, or you're talking about art history, you have to connect with one another. And I think that all of those different classes and that variety of foundation helped me understand how to translate from different lexicons, and also how to talk about very complex things in a way that maybe people would understand more easily. And when you get in a career field, you'll usually find yourself as the technical operator at the beginning. You're actually doing the hands-on. You're at the computer, sending signals up to the satellite, or you're at a launch pad with a hard hat on and steel-toed boots and climbing up and making sure that the valve is on right, and that there's not liquid oxygen blowing in your face or something. And you do the work. But then as you get more advanced in your profession, you have people that are actually under your leadership doing the work, and you're advocating for resources for them, getting more money for projects, getting more advancement for the people who work for you. And that is where you really need to be able to communicate. Because if you are a leader who's a technical expert but can't stand up for your people to get them advancement or get them projects or get them financing, then you're limited. And I think having a liberal arts education really helped me understand how to articulate things better to help communicate those things.
I love that. I love that. We say all the time that scientists who are made here at Mount Holyoke aren't like other scientists because of the incredible liberal arts education that you receive. And so that's wonderful to know. I know you aren't just a Mount Holyoke graduate, you're also a Mount Holyoke College parent.
Yes.
So your daughter Katie is class of 2019. And so tell me a little bit about Katie's journey to Mount Holyoke. You know, some answers seem a little obvious about why she might want to come here because you left such an incredible legacy, but what brought Katie to Mount Holyoke?
Wow. So, we went on a lot of school tours. I mean, it was crazy. We went on like big schools, little schools, city schools, rural schools, and I really was hesitant because I loved Mount Holyoke, but I didn't necessarily want her to feel like she had to follow my path. And so I asked her just 2 days ago. The reason she's not here this weekend is because she is active duty Air Force and she's serving in Turkey, supporting the NATO international relations with Turkey. But I asked her 2 days ago, okay, they're going to ask me about you. Maybe you should answer this. Yeah. And she said, oh, Mom, I love those brick buildings with the ivy.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
So it wasn't about me at all.
That's so great. That is so great. Okay, so you are the mother of two fairly recent college graduates.
Right.
So tell me, and you've had an extraordinary career, so what advice do you have for the class of 2024 as they're graduating?
Fortune favors the bold. That means that you should go off and have the courage to take action. And courage comes in many ways. Courage comes in physical courage. It could be, something very physically demanding. But courage also is about like the mental courage to go further, whether or not you're going to advance degrees or you're going to get a certification in what career field you do, or having a local book club, just something that mentally stimulates you and keeps you going. And so have the courage to engage in that. Or socially, and you've heard a lot about that today, is have the courage to speak up. Speak up for those who cannot. Speak up for those who don't have a voice. And this could come in many facets. It could be encouraging somebody by seeing someone who has really nice shoes and saying, I like your blue shoes, those are really nice. It could be speaking out for someone who's been underrepresented and doesn't have a voice. You speak for them, or you say something in public that maybe is embarrassing or they feel uncomfortable. But I think having the courage to be bold when you go out in the workforce, engage in whatever capacity that you can and you feel comfortable, but know that you have this full support of Mount Holyoke under you in a safe and secure community that you can always come back to.
It's really wonderful. You're an incredible representative of Mount Holyoke and Mount Holyoke graduates. So last night I was with the classes of our 70th reunion and our 75th reunion classes, and it always amazes me how vibrant the Mount Holyoke grads are in their 90s. So what do you think that secret is to the good life? I say so many of Mount Holyoke grads seem to be living that fully complete life, whether it's work and family, doing things that challenge them. So what would you say has been your secret to the good life?
My secret to the good life? I don't know. I'm not 100 yet, but I feel like...
Me either, but some days it feels like it.
But I feel like it's the support of a community, whether that's your family. I mean, I'm blessed to have such a large family and supporting family. But whether your family is your actual family or friends or people down the street, but for us, I think the community is really what makes you just tick, because they say the more engagement you have each day is what makes people live longer. And I think just you have to get out and engage every day and reach out and talk to people and communicate with them. And remember, no matter who you are, you always started somewhere. So always appreciate those people who are just starting, and be gentle with them, be kind with them, be generous with your words, because you will make a huge difference. And you never know, you might be that mentor like Dr. Frau Meter was to me, who was just so impressive. Now we, as graduates of 2024 or alums, are in those positions where we're the role models. So take that as a challenge and take it for action, that we are the role models that people are looking at. So, just be excellent.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us for the first edition of Made Here. I can't think of a better person to start with than you.
Thank you.